Welcome back. Today I'm wrapping up chapter 11, specifically talking about the phylum Chordata. We started yesterday's lecture talking about the characteristics of all chordata, how they have to have a notochord or anal cord, pharyngeal pouches. There's like another one I'm blanking on. And then we talked about how some chordates do not have a backbone, the tunicates and the lanceolate, but they did have the four features of the chordata at some point in their life. And then I started to discuss fishes and amphibians and their common characteristics. So today I'm going to talk about the three other classes of vertebrates, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So reptiles, some common characteristics of reptiles is that their skin is waterproof and it's made of scales. So that is a distinct feature. I mean, a reptile's skin feels dry compared to an amphibian skin, which feels moist. Another characteristic of reptiles is that they have a three-chambered heart, just like the frog does, and I didn't mention that in yesterday's lecture. They have lungs throughout their entire lives. With frogs, when they were tadpoles, they had, gills. They that's how they got their oxygen. And then they developed into lungs. But with reptiles, they start off with gills throughout their entire lives. And as a result, you see their front legs are stronger than an amphibian's front legs because they want to hold their body off the ground and give a little bit more support to their lungs so they can fill their lungs with air. So that's actually kind of a cool feature that your book doesn't mention that I know about through my master's class of biological sciences that I took several years ago. Another characteristic is that they lay fluid-filled eggs with a leathery shell, so there's some form of protection, and they can lay those eggs on land rather than water, so we're kind of cutting the ties to water here, whereas with amphibians, they had to lay their eggs in the water. And then finally, the young reptiles do not change form as they mature, they just increase in size. So common examples of reptiles: lizards, snakes, turtles, crocodiles, and alligators. Okay, birds are, they share some common characteristics as well with reptiles, but some common characteristics: they make nests to hold their eggs, they have unique calls or songs to find mates, their bones have light weight, they actually have air pockets in them, their skin is covered with feathers and scales, they have 2 legs and 2 wings, beaks that cannot chew food, so they actually have a gizzard further along in their digestive chain to help them grind their food. Birds have a 4-chambered heart, whereas with reptiles they had a 3-chambered heart. Eggs are fluid-filled, they have hard shells, protective covering, and they do feed and care for their young. They don't leave them, on their own. Final group are the mammals. So common characteristics: they have hair or fur for their covering, complete digestive systems, a very complex nervous system that has a brain, and then the presence of mammary glands, which means that they produce milk for their young, or at least the females do. So that pretty much wraps it up for phylum Chordata. So we talked about characteristics of chordates, and then characteristics of the vertebrates, and then talked about the 5 classes of vertebrates and how they differ from one another. So that does it for chapter 11. We are looking at a chapter 11 test tomorrow.